What's good, YouTube? Welcome back. Today it is the LazyDaze channel and we're back at it again with some more history reaction for you guys today, and we're doing some epic history TV's content for you, and we're back on the Napoleonic War series and we're doing the bloodiest day, Borodino, 1812. We're really enjoying this story and the content, epic history TVs. Yeah, I know, it's so good. Really enjoying it over here. Epic History TV does a great job, so if you haven't already, please head over to his page. A link will be in the description box down below.
If you are liking our stuff, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We're going to jump straight into it. Of all my 50 battles, the most terrible was the one I fought at Borodino, Napoleon. Ooh.
Russia, 1812. Napoleon invades his former ally with the largest army Europe has ever seen. But for the French Emperor, the decisive blow
I've always thought he was standing up when I first saw that image.
Reach. Russia's resilience.
I thought Napoleon was standing up, not sitting down.
Which one? After this? Or
After this one.
But for the French Emperor, the decisive...
I always thought he was standing up, not sitting down.
Oh, I see. Yeah. No, he's sitting down with his leg up.
Yeah. It's just a short French guy.
Remains frustratingly beyond reach. Russia's resilience is unlike anything he's ever encountered. And as winter closes in, his army begins the most infamous retreat in history.
Winter was not a good time for him.
No, it wasn't. But they said in the comments that Russia's weather was extreme.
Yeah.
So their summers were hot as well.
Right.
So they would die of heat exhaustion as well. So it's not just the winter you needed to be worried about. In the summertime,
it was
that was just as bad as well. It was like being in severe heat and so on and so forth.
That's horrible.
So yeah, gotta be very careful.
Lugging cannons around as well.
September 1812. 10 weeks had passed since Napoleon invaded Russia with more than 500,000 men.
10 weeks.
Only 10 weeks.
The French Emperor wanted a quick victory over the Russians.
He wanted it done in half the time.
One that would force Emperor Alexander to make peace and agree to French terms. But at Vitebsk and then Smolensk, the outnumbered Russian army had narrowly escaped his clutches. The holy city of Smolensk had been virtually destroyed. Napoleon had advanced deep into Russia, and months of marching had left his army decimated by disease and exhaustion. It was now half its original strength, and summer was nearly over.
Around 300,
but finally, 70 miles west of Moscow,
got at least 200,000 left.
No, half. I think he started with 600,000.
600,000.
So he got about 300,000. But like I just said, his flanks. Obviously, he's got people on his flanks and so on and so forth. So I'm not too sure how many people he's got in this contingent of the army. You know.
Okay. Find out.
The Russians had turned to offer battle. Napoleon would have a chance to win the decisive victory that he believed would end the war.
Soldiers, here is the battle you have so long desired. Henceforward victory depends on you. Napoleon's proclamation to the army of the eve of battle.
Oh, mate. Yeah, this series has got some really good quotes.
The Russian army, commanded by the 67-year-old one-eyed veteran General Kutuzov, occupied a defensive position across the two main roads leading from Smolensk to Moscow. General Barclay de Tolly's First Army was on the right, its front protected by the Kalatsha River, steep-banked but shallow and easily forded. Prince Bagration's Second Army was on the left, a more open position but reinforced by major earthworks, the Great Redoubt, and what the French nicknamed, for their shape, the Flèche, the arrows. Another forward redoubt at Borodino was expected to delay the enemy's advance. Historians still dispute the size of the Russian army, but it's likely Kutuzov had around 121,000 men and 680 guns at Borodino.
Wow.
On the 5th of September, Napoleon's army began to arrive from the west. Around 130,000 men and 585 guns.
Is that it?
Napoleon quickly saw that the Shevardino redoubt would have to be taken before he could deploy his army, and ordered an immediate assault. The attack was led by Compan's 5th Division,
go
the
straight
1st
into it.
Corps,
He needs that
supported by
position.
the Polish
but
5th Corps to the south.
if he needs it, he's going for it.
He's going for it.
In several hours of heavy fighting, the redoubt changed hands more than once.
Wow.
But late that evening, the Russians finally withdrew to their main line, and the redoubt fell to the French. Its capture had cost them an estimated 4,000
That was
casualties,
the idea.
while the Russians lost around 6,000 men.
6,000.
Napoleon noted how few prisoners were taken, a worrying sign of the enemy's unbroken resolve.
That's such a good point.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
the less
good
people
point.
surrendering and was willing to die,
The harder it's going to
the
be.
harder it's gonna be.
Oh no.
Yeah.
They're fighting for the motherland.
Yeah, that's it. And that was one of the biggest scares, like in World War II, for the Japanese defending their homeland.
Yeah.
And that's why they didn't want to do the island hopping, you know, because like the Japanese were going to fight for their land to the end.
Yeah. Plus the fact that he has retreated pretty much all the way back to Moscow.
Yeah. So
And,
it's literally
yeah, under new
home,
command.
You know what I mean? It's why the Ukrainians are doing so well at the moment, because they're fighting for what's theirs.
That's, honestly, what he's doing is just vile, bruv.
Yeah, I know.
It's wrong.
Both sides spent the next day preparing for battle. Marshal Davout, commanding
This is
French
such a
First
nice
Corps
battle again.
and widely considered Napoleon's most able subordinate, appealed to the Emperor to use his corps to make a wide, outflanking attack to the south. But Napoleon dismissed the idea as too risky, and instead began preparing for a massive frontal assault.
Are you having a laugh?
So he was trying to flank him.
Yeah, he's trying to go round the side with his less.
Yeah.
Oh.
And that's apparently too risky.
No, but going full speed ahead. Yeah, no, that's absolutely fine.
Oh, it's just throwing your men into a meat
Oh,
grinder.
mate, he's starting to fall.
Oh, honestly, this is why I like Warhammer so much, because it has the same sort of premise where like human beings are legitimately just a cog in the giant machine. Like it's just so ridiculous. Like the actual humans, like they win by like the Imperial Guard, which are actual humans, not the Space Marine guys. Like their winning process is by throwing millions and millions of people onto a battlefield and just winning by numbers. Because they have that many people, you know, so they'll throw like hundreds of thousands of tanks and hundreds of million people, and when they die, they just go, it's fine, we'll just get more millions of people to go in, and they just don't stop. That's how they sort of win. But it's just a society as well. Do you know what I mean? In general, it's just
You've got the men, you're just going to throw it in.
Yeah, like, but even like just through society, your body is just a machine working. If you can't work, then you're useless to society.
Yeah.
They get rid of you basically. Like, yeah. I could not escape the feeling that something huge and destructive was hanging over all of us. Captain von Linsing?
Linsingen? No, I've butchered that. I'm sorry. I'm illiterate. Get over it.
What's the second part?
Oh, fucking Christ.
Shall we just move on?
Yeah.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Shortly after dawn on the 7th of September, Orthodox priests paraded one of Russia's holiest icons, Our Lady of Smolensk, before the Russian army.
Okay.
It was a stirring sight for many devout Russian soldiers, thousands of whom would not live to see dusk. The battle began at 6 a.m. as French batteries opened a deafening cannonade against the Russian defenses. Eugene's 4th Corps advanced on Borodino village, lightly held by Jaegers of the Russian Imperial Guard. After clearing the village, his infantry crossed the Kalacha and advanced towards the Great Redoubt, but were driven back with heavy losses. The Russians burned the bridge across the river, but did not launch a counterattack. And Eugene was able to move cannon into the village to put flanking fire on the Great Redoubt.
And I guess at least by having that bridge burnt there...
Yeah, he can't put more men over there.
Yeah, you can't get flanked, it seems like. It's going to be difficult to get flanked as Napoleon.
I mean, if there's a bridge up there, they've got a possibility.
But look, you can see the bridges down here. And I don't see any bridges up here.
No.
But we might be
The centre, Davout's 1st Corps, began its advance against the Fleches, coming under heavy fire. While on the right, the Polish 5th Corps, ordered to take Utitsa, got held up in the woods and ravines. Their slow advance allowed Tushkov's 3rd Corps to send a division north to reinforce the Fleche defences. Kutuzov, at his headquarters in Gorky, took little part in the battle, leaving tactical decisions to his subordinates. Barclay and Bagration had spent most of the summer arguing furiously over strategy, but in the hour of crisis, they put their differences aside. They could see the main French attack was falling on the Russian centre and left. So Barclay ordered General Bagavout's 2nd Corps south to reinforce Bagration. Fighting around the Fleche intensified as the French captured one of the earthworks, only to be driven out by a Russian counterattack. Davout himself was injured in the fighting as he fell from his dying horse.
It's just so interesting to see how a real battle would go down. Do you know what I mean? Like 1 minute you're winning, then you're not. This side's winning, but this side's losing. You need to react to this and then react to that. It's just so much going on all at once.
His dying horse, but he refused to leave the field.
He's not giving up.
No, he's not.
When Russian cavalry counterattacked, Marshal Murat himself led the French cavalry forward to meet them.
Go on, Murat.
Ney's 3rd Corps now joined the attack on the Fleche.
Oh, the division's coming.
A charge by Russian cuirassiers forced Murat to take shelter in a square of Württemberg infantry. Murat, with his flamboyant dress and reckless courage, had now even made a name for himself among the Russians. The Cossacks in particular saw him as a kindred spirit and were eager to capture him alive if they could. To the south, Polish troops now took Utitsa, which the Russians set ablaze before withdrawing. But General Bagavout's reinforcements arrived just in time to shore up the Russian flank.
Not going well.
Around 10 a.m., Eugene launched another attack on the Great Redoubt. It was briefly captured by Moran's 1st Division, before his men were thrown out by a ferocious Russian counterattack. The Russian army's 27-year-old artillery commander, General Kutesov, was killed leading one of these counterattacks. A heroic death, but a blow to the organization of Russian artillery for the rest of the day.
I've got to say, the generals...
So this was the Russian, not the...
but the generals they're going in there with their men, they're fighting front line, and they're dying. But they're going out with their men, and they're showing their men that we are exactly the same when it comes to battle. We're going to go in alone. We're not going in alone. We're going in together. And I'm going to lead this charge.
I do agree with where you're coming from. It's insanely encouragable, and it is what you need to do.
But I understand it's
So someone mentioned in one of the comments on the Spanish ulcer,
Yeah.
was a lot of the generals died in that fight. So
Yeah.
it was good that they were doing that. But then the problem with it,
You lose a lot of your experienced generals.
Generals. Do you know what I mean? So this is where Napoleon doesn't have all those great commanders that were strategic. Like, do you know what I mean? It is an issue.
He's only got the young new ones that
That's
don't know
it.
anything about battle strategy.
Yeah. But I think he's got, obviously not in this case, because he's obviously got other generals from other provinces like the German states and
he's got the
Prussia
Polish
and the Polish, and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's so interesting to see how it was fought as well.
Yeah. This is a large. Like, you think these are towns, like
this is like
and
200,000
and on this
men.
screen we're still missing the bottom half of what's going on. As well.
Fighting continued to rage around the Fleche earthworks. Some counted as many as 6 major French assaults, involving 45,000 troops, with hundreds of cannon on both sides, pouring fire into the packed ranks. More than once, French infantry fought their way into one of the Russian positions, only to be driven out again at bayonet point. Junot's Westphalian Corps was sent forward in support, helping to clear Russian skirmishers from the woods to the south. General Bagration was close to the action, overseeing the defense of the Fleche, leading forward reinforcements and ordering counterattacks. Around 10 a.m, he was hit in the leg by shell fragments. Mortally wounded, he was carried from the field. Shaken by the loss of their iconic commander, the exhausted Russian infantry began to fall back. The French finally took the Fleche. Marshal Murat then led forward Friant's division, First Corps' last reserve, supported by waves of heavy cavalry on both flanks.
He's going for it.
Russian grenadiers formed squares to ward off the French cuirassiers, while their own guard cavalry fought the French in a giant confused melee, with heavy losses on both sides. The Russians resisted doggedly, but the combined onslaught of French artillery, cavalry, and infantry proved irresistible. As the Russians pulled back, Friant's infantry fought their way into the village of Semyonovskaya. The Russian center was in disarray and seemed close to breaking.
How do they pull it back?
Surely now was the time for Napoleon to deliver the knockout blow.
Is he going to balls this up?
Soldiers, face to the enemy, let's go and get killed. French, really can't. Colonial to his men at Borodino. There we go. Yeah.
For most of the day, Napoleon remained at his headquarters near Borodino. Those around him later said that illness, as well as the exertions of the long campaign, had left him tired and irritable. As the Russian center buckled, Murat and his staff urged him to send forward his last reserve, the Imperial Guard.
Yeah.
The Emperor refused. If there is another battle tomorrow, he asked them, where is my army? But he did make one exception. Barclay was continuing to move troops from his unengaged right wing to bolster the center. As Osterman Tolstoy's 4th Corps arrived behind the Russian center, French observers feared they were massing for an attack.
Okay, you would be
Yeah.
So Napoleon ordered forward General Sorbier's Guard artillery. His batteries opened a devastating fire on the enemy. Yet even as they were mown down in their ranks, the Russian infantry stood their ground.
Jesus.
Wow.
On the Russian right wing, all remained quiet, so General Platov, commander of the Don Cossacks, proposed that he lead an attack on the lightly defended Borodino village. Permission received, Generals Platov and Uvarov led a force of 8,000 Cossacks and cavalry.
Cossacks coming in to save the day.
They fell on French and Italian troops around Borodino with complete surprise, spreading panic and disorder. Grouchy's 3rd Cavalry Corps had to be pulled back across the river to drive off the Russians. Russian commanders saw this raid as a missed opportunity, but it had delayed the next French attack by 2 hours, and may have persuaded Napoleon that he was right to hold back his reserve.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
I see. That does make sense. Well, now, like, it makes sense. But it's like, it's good for the Russians, because they've obviously made him think, but I still think he should have sent the Royal Guard up there.
I don't know. I had never seen such carnage. General Rapp to Napoleon's aide-de-camp, wounded for the 22nd time.
Wow.
At Borodino.
22nd time.
22 times, my man. Oh my God. No. He's a fighter.
Around 3 p.m, the French launched their biggest assault yet on the Great Redoubt.
Okay. I'm interested now.
Yeah, I'm interested.
I really want to know. I was interested before.
To their front, allowing French cavalry to outflank the redoubt and charge it from the rear.
Right.
Saxon cavalry were first in, cutting down Russian infantry and gunners almost to the last man. It was an astonishing feat by the horsemen, against all the rules of war, and testament to the ferocity of the fighting.
Wow.
As Eugene's infantry consolidated their hold on the redoubt, he ordered forward all the available cavalry to exploit this success. But they were met and checked by the last Russian cavalry reserves. Eugene now implored Napoleon to commit the Imperial Guard.
Yeah.
But again, the Emperor refused. "I will not destroy my guard," he told his staff. "I am 800 leagues from France, and I will not risk my last reserve."
I feel that, but you've risked your entire army on this.
By 5 p.m, both armies were in a state of utter exhaustion. The battlefield was strewn with dead and wounded. Some infantry battalions could muster only a third of their strength. Cavalry could advance no faster than a trot.
Wow.
Gun crews were collapsing with fatigue.
Oh my.
As dusk approached, fighting slowly died out across the battlefield. Napoleon and the French army expected the fighting to resume the next day. But by dawn, Kutuzov, having learned the full, horrifying scale of Russian losses,
he would retreat.
had ordered a withdrawal.
Yeah, of course.
The losses on both sides were enormous.
Casualty.
Russian casualties are estimated
Dead,
at
wounded,
44,000. French losses around 30,000, including 49 generals. 12 of them killed.
God.
Borodino would prove to be the bloodiest single day of the Napoleonic Wars.
What a horrific sight that must have been.
What a horrific
The
sight.
Russian army could not fight another
hard to wrap
battle
your
until it
mind
had
around
received
sometimes,
major
isn't it, Jack?
reinforcements.
It generally, it's horrible to think to think, like, you've just done a full day on a battlefield.
And you've got to wake up tomorrow.
On a battlefield. You've not been stacking shelves, you've not been lugging timber, you've been loading cannons, slaying people, taking out cavalry, you've been just trying to hide and survive.
Oh.
And you look up at dusk and you just see the just utter devastation.
And then you can't sleep because all you're thinking about is, I'll wake up and do this all again tomorrow.
Yeah, you don't even know if you will sleep.
Yeah, you wouldn't sleep. Like what if they come in on us?
Yeah, you don't know if they're going to come and rush you at night.
And obviously at this point you don't know that they're going to order a tactical retreat. So you are just there waiting. It's the scariest thing. Warfare is one of the scariest
That would have
things.
been the most horrific thing to see.
And so Kutuzov decided that he must abandon Moscow. On the 15th of September, a week after his victory at Borodino, Napoleon entered the city.
Napoleon got to
I
Moscow.
didn't realise he actually got into
He would
Moscow.
find it virtually deserted. And already, the first fires starting to burn.
Oh dear.
Wow, I guess we'll find out what happens in the next episode. We really enjoyed that content over here, guys. If you liked our content, then please like, comment,
Subscribe,
hit that notification bell, and we will catch you in the next one.
See you in a bit.